everyone, and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to complete the Coiling Colors cowl that you can find on my website as a free pattern at www.nanascraftyhome.com. And this is a really fun, simple, quick pattern, inexpensive to make. It's using just one ball of yarn. And the yarn that I used for this pattern is Caron Cotton Cakes. Just recently came back into Michael's stores. It is a really nice yarn. It is a blend of cotton and acrylic, 60% cotton and 40% acrylic. It's very soft. It's a worsted weight, so you could certainly substitute another yarn, but honestly, this yarn is so great for this project because the stitch definition in this is just wonderful. If you can, see this here, there's none of that fuzziness in some of the other yarns. It's softer than most, straight cotton yarns. It's a fun pattern and it looks great too. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have my Clover size H 5.0 millimeter crochet hook here, and the color of the Caron Cotton Cakes, this is one of their new colors, is called Garden Path, a very neutral grayish tan, some cream in there, a very neutral color. The original pattern actually used calico flowers, which is a very bright, lots of colors in there, a fun yarn. But first what you're going to do is you're going to chain 150. So go ahead and get started, and I'm going to show you a little trick because you're not going to want to twist your chain because you're going to join to your first chain to make a ring, and that's what you're going to be working this in the round. We don't want it to twist, and I'm going to show you a trick that I've learned. So let's go ahead and chain the first 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Go ahead and remove your crochet hook and insert your hook in the first chain that you made back here. And then insert your hook back into your loop and go ahead and continue on with your chains. So I have 140 more to go. So go ahead and chain those. All right, so I've gone ahead and chained my 150 chains. And what I'm going to do is, remember we still have that first chain on our hook, is I'm going to go ahead and pull that loop right through my beginning chain. And so what ended up happening is that chain could not twist at all, and I formed a ring without any stress or headaches about twisting my chain. Especially with this many, you hate to get to your 149th double crochet and realize, oh my word, I've twisted my beginning chain and I have to rip all of that out. So none of that headache here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, and it's simply going to be, and that counts as your first double crochet, and then you're just going to double crochet in each chain around. So just go ahead and do your first row of double crochets. Alright, so I have done a double crochet in each chain around that circle for a total of 150 double crochets. When I get to the end, I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of that first chain 3 from the beginning of that round. And then I'm going to do a chain 2. Now I'm going to be doing chain 2s at the beginning of each round for a couple of reasons. One is my double crochets from here on out will be worked around the bottom post from the previous row, and that will make that double crochet shorter than it would be normally. If I were to do a chain 3, it would be higher than the double crochets that are worked in my subsequent stitches. So I'm only going to be doing chain 2s, and then in each, so around each of the next double crochets, I'm going to be doing a back raised double crochet. And a back raised double crochet is worked from behind. So we're going to be working around these just like we would for a back post double crochet. We're going to be inserting our hook from behind. So yarn over just as we would for a normal double crochet, and then insert your hook from behind and around that next double crochet post from the previous round. Pull up a loop and then finish your double crochet just as you would normally. So this is going to create a ridge. Yarn over, we're going to do the same thing. This next double crochet post, we're going to insert our hook from behind, yarn over, pull up a loop, and finish our double crochet. Pull through 2 and pull through 2. Yarn over, same thing. Next double crochet post, insert from behind, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. And I'm going to try to get really close so you can see hook placement on this, because that's really the main thing with this stitch is where you're placing your hook. So this is the front of my work, this is the back of that double crochet. So yarn over, from behind, insert your hook. You're going to see it, so on the back side of it, the post is over top. If I'm looking at it from the front, you're going to see the shaft of your crochet hook all the way through. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you can see here that it is creating a very defined ridge. It makes these stand up very tall. And you also can see your loops down below. So it makes it really interesting when you have some color changes. I mean, this one is the same color, but let's take a look at my original scarf here. So what makes it really interesting is when you have rows that are a different color than the previous row, you end up with these interesting little colored loops over top of your posts, and it just gives it an interesting look than just doing your double crochets. The other thing that's going to happen as you're doing these, because every round at this point is now going to be this back raised double crochet throughout. And what's going to end up happening is it's going to end up making your work curl back. It's going to naturally form this circular coil that we have here. I didn't have to fold it together or anything like that. It just naturally will make that shape as you progress through the scarf. So as we go on here, so every post is going to get this back raised double crochet from behind. Work your double crochet just as you normally would. placing that hook around the back side of the previous round's double crochet. The first row tends to be a little more difficult than the subsequent rows, just because you haven't started with that pattern. It just seems to, you know, have less to hold on to at the bottom. Your work kind of wants to flop around a little bit. Once you get into your other rows, it will be a little bit easier for you to finish. So continue on throughout this entire round, and I will come back to show you how to end your round. Alright, I have reached the end of that round. I have one more stitch, one more post to go around to complete my last one here. Now, how you're going to finish your round is this chain 2 that I had from the beginning of the round. What we're going to do is we're going to do another back raised double crochet. I'm going to do it in that chain 3 down below that chain 2. So I'm going to do the same thing around behind that chain 3, do my double crochet, and I'm going to have that chain 2 in front of that chain 3 that I just did. And I'm going to want to then slip stitch at the top of that chain 2. So what does it do by having that double crochet behind that chain 2? It ends up bulking that chain 2 up a little bit, giving this more of an appearance of a double crochet than if we were to just leave that by itself. It also does continue that ridge look through the beginning part of that round, so there's less of a gap, I guess, at the beginning. It just gives it a little bit more of a finished appearance than what it would if we were to not do that part. Also, that chain 2 that we did, remember we talked about the fact that we did the chain 2 at the beginning because of the height. You can see here that chain 2 is the same height as my double crochets that I did, and it's also the same height as that double crochet that I did back behind it. So that's a double crochet behind it, but because I worked it around the bottom stitch here, it ends up being the same height. So the beginning of each round is going to be that chain 2. The end of every round is going to be the double crochet back behind that chain 2 around the chain from down below. Of course, this one was a chain 3 for that first round. Each subsequent ones after that will end up being this chain double crochet combo right here. So go ahead and continue on. I will do another start of the row here. We'll do one more row and then you guys will be on your own here. So chain 2 again, and then we're doing that back raised double crochet around that bottom, the post from down below, and finish your double crochet. Again, the stitch down below, stitch down below, from behind, and around that stitch from underneath. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to finish off your subsequent rounds, but I wanted to go ahead and crochet a few more rounds so that you could see what it looks like as we're progressing through this pattern. So I am finishing my 6th round, and you can already see I am not holding this together in any way, pushing it together, the ends together, and it is just naturally wanting to curl up on itself even after just 6 rounds. Just because that doing every round in that back raised double crochet makes it just curl over like that. So, and it's just going to continue doing that as you finish the rounds that you need to do to complete it. Now, once you get to the end of your round, remember for this one, the previous round, it has that chain 2 and then the double crochet behind it. So when you're doing the back raised double crochet, we're going to be doing that around that whole grouping. So you're going to do it around the chain 2 and that back raised double crochet, that double crochet post. So you're going to insert your hook and then go around both that chain 2 and that double crochet and then finish your stitch. So let's see how that looks. And I mean, there is a join, but one of the nice things about this pattern as well is by doing the tab that keeps the 2 together, you can place this over top of that join, because you can see here I have my join there, and it's not visible anymore because I've just disguised it with that tab and button. But honestly, I think the join is fairly well disguised because we've done that chain and the back raised double crochet, or that double crochet back behind it, which bulks it up just a little bit. It does still have that ridge effect going through, and so it's a little less noticeable than I think if you were to just do a chain stitch there. So once you have done that final back raised double, then you're going to go ahead and chain or slip stitch to the top of that chain 2, which pulls that together. I have fastened off, and I've left a very long tail here, enough to sew this together. And this is actually just lying natural after I've completed it. So you can see here by doing the rounds of the back raised double crochet, it makes it form this coil like this. So it's going to make sewing very easy because it's naturally falling into this round shape, and so you don't have to force it while you're sewing it together. So I'm going to use the mattress stitch to seam this together. It makes it very invisible to see where the join is at, and it's a very simple stitch. So I have my tapestry needle here, and we'll just go ahead with the edges, so the top and the bottom rolled together. We're just going to start stitching this together. So what you're going to do is you're going to come from underneath and from the inside of that cowl to pick up your loops on both sides. And in order to give this round some texture and to make this as invisible as possible, I'm going to only pick up one loop from my last round, and that will leave that outside loop visible and give that some additional texture, helping disguise that join here. So then on the opposite side, again, underneath, picking up that loop from the chain row that we did. So here we are. Just pick up the one loop, leaving this loop free. And making sure that we are going back and forth, picking up both sides of that. And you're going to have a lot of length here to start out with, which will make it a little cumbersome, but that will diminish as we go on. So again, underneath, one loop, the opposite side, pick up a loop, okay, let's see how that looks. So you can see here that it's difficult to see where that join is. It's just naturally falling into place. And you really cannot tell where the join is. So you're going to just continue on doing that same thing all the way around till you get back to where you started. Then fasten off and weave in your ends. So I will be back to show you how to make your button tab. I'm reaching the end of that seam here, coming back to where I started. So just continue on back and forth, finishing. Closing that gap. All right. Now go ahead and weave in that end. And then fasten that off. And there you have your cowl completed. Alright, so to start that tab, go ahead and chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Double crochet in the third chain from the hook and in each chain to the end. Alright, so we're going to turn our work for row 2 and we're going to chain 2. That does not count in a stitch, so we're going to count as my first stitch, so I'm going to go ahead and double crochet in that same stitch and then in each stitch to the end. Turn, and I'm going to repeat row 2 through row 13. Chain 2, double crochet, turn, and continue repeating that same row, ending on row 13. Alright, so I've completed 13 rounds, 13 rows there. Go ahead and turn your work. You're going to chain 2, double crochet in the same stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then double crochet in the last 2. And this is your buttonhole. And then turn, we're going to chain 2, double crochet in the same stitch, double crochet in the next, double crochet in the chain 1 space, double crochet in the last 2. We're not going to fasten off. We're going to evenly single crochet around the entire outside edge of that tab. So rather than fastening off, we're just going to chain 1 here and then just do even single crochets all the way, just to clean the edges up of the tab, make it a little cleaner looking, a little more finished. Want them evenly spaced. When we get to the corner, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the corner to help us make that turn. And you'll do that in each corner and then continue on the next side, evenly spacing your single crochets. Alright, so I've completed single crocheting evenly around the outside of that tab. I've chosen a button. I have a 1.5 inch button here to sew onto that tab, which is a very good size. I've chosen a highly decorative one that I think is going to match this scarf quite well. So go ahead and place the button where you would like it with the right side facing you. So, because what's going to happen is we're going to, once it's sewn into place, the button is going to be put in here like this, and that's where it will sit. So place it where desired on the right side of your tab. Put that into place. I've chosen some color coordinated embroidery thread to sew that on to my tab and knotted that, put that on my needle, and I'm going to go ahead and sew that on. Don't pull too hard. Make sure you're getting through the fibers there. You don't want to pull too hard because that thread will want to come through the yarn. So just tug until it's gently tight enough. Alright, so when it's sufficiently sewn into place, go ahead and tie that off, cut that off. And then you're going to go ahead and place that on your cowl. So let me get a little bit higher so you can see what I'm doing. So now this tab is removable. You're going to be able to take this off or put it back on. You'll be able to change up how you have the scarf. If you don't want to wear it with the tab, you don't have to. You can coil it up like this, and then go ahead and wrap that around. And there you have it. That is a fun, easy scarf, a great fashion accessory. You can make that in all kinds of different colors. You could even make it in a plain color if you so chose. I really like how it works though with the color changes like this and how it looks different in between the rows of those ridges. So this is a fun pattern, easy, quick. You can get that done in just a couple of hours. You can be finished with this. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. Again, my name is Tanya with Nana's Crafty Home. This is the Coiling Colors Cowl that you can find as a free pattern on my website. And if you like this tutorial, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to get notified whenever I add a new video. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and Twitter. I love to see your work. If you make any of these, please share your photos. They may even get included in my monthly newsletter. So thanks again for joining me, everybody. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.